This video was sponsored by Enhance, NeoWatt, A Better Road Planner, Elbilmek, Kempower and Bilkomponenter.
Yo, what's up? Today we are back on testing Chinese cars. This is BYD Atto 3 Evo. It has been remade. Lots of nice improvements here. For example, all-wheel drive now, bigger battery, 76 kilowatt hour, 200 kilowatt fast charging. This is 800 volt architecture. It can tow 1500 kilograms now. It has a 101 liter frunk. And it only costs 390k NOK. You know, that's less than half of the BMW iX3. Huh? Okay, anyway. So another improvement, back here looks better. It doesn't say build your dreams. It does just say BYD now. We have the Atto 3 Evo badge there, all-wheel drive badge there. The braking lights up here. And then you open the trunk. They have lowered the trunk slightly, but you still have the space under here. So yeah, this is great, huh? Lots of improvements. The back space is still the same. The car's dimensions are still the same. But also here in the front, there are some major improvements. Before, there was this humongous gear shifter here. It's like you navigate a freaking boat or something, right? They move it here way better, just like in Tesla and Mercedes, and actually many other cars, Chinese cars actually, mainly Chinese cars like Xpeng, and yeah, so very ergonomic to use this, right? And then there's actually a power button here, start stop, but you really have to use it, because if you go here in the menu, lots of settings. If you go to drive, no wait, was it drive or was it yeah, I think it was drive. Here are lots of settings and showing you. Yeah, here. Power supply, auto power on. When you unlock the car, it will power on all the systems. Auto power off, you can lock the car, and it will also shut down the car. So super convenient, all of this stuff. You have the swipe down here. You have the home screen here, and new improvement, Google Maps has been implemented, and just look how snappy it is. You zoom in, you see waypoints, and like, wow, this is just brilliant how fast it is. And they're taking out that useless rotating screen. And we have one wireless charging pad here. Okay, so anyway, yeah, we're gonna go, okay, here's the silly thing. Okay, let me show you now. It's still a Chinese car. So if you go to energy, they at least didn't call it new energy like they did before. If we go here to energy consumption, first of all, what the heck is this? Consumption and then odometer. Well, odometer shows precision. Okay, that's good, but this is not consumption. This is distance, bro. And here is consumption curve, but you see it's passed for the past 50 kilometers. Driving time, what the heck is 0.9 hours? Okay, it's 54 minutes. It could be 59 seconds, 59 minutes. Who knows? And this trip meter, whatever, it's the same number that we see here. So we don't have a proper trip meter still in 2026. So what we're gonna do is that we will drive a 50 kilometer loop. We have to go north here, back again, and then go south a little bit and come back. And that is exactly 50 kilometer. And that will match the stupid 50 kilometer cycle that they have here, just so we can measure the consumption. Let's check the weight. This is outside of the 50 kilometer driving cycle. Okay, front axle. Oh, 1040, okay. The whole car. 2080 kilograms. Okay, so 200 kilograms more with the extra motor and bigger battery then. Okay, clear data. Okay, display, instrument, reset, trip A. Go. Well, we're on the move, and yes, we also have head-up display now, and we have to cruise 122 kilometers per hour to match 120 GPS speed. And you see the leaf up there. We are now in eco mode, but despite being in eco mode, it seems like it wants to use both motors. I was told by BYD that it's supposed to only run the rear motor, so I'm not sure what's up with that. But then you can see in energy consumption, it will update. Well, no, I forgot to reset this, but it doesn't matter. It will just do an average now. You can also reset this to clear it before we do the run, but it will just do a rolling average now for the past 50 kilometers. So yeah, we have auto steer active. It's working mostly fine. Sometimes it will do some weird stuff. But let me see here, the power. At least this Atto 3 doesn't do that annoying BYD feature where it accelerates, decelerate, accelerate, decelerate. It seems to actually drive smooth now for once. The evolution have started. And if you guys are wondering, the ITAC is off. ITAC will change some of the characteristics of how the car is supposed to kick in the front motor. But even if it's on or off now, it's off, right? If you go to energy, you see that it's like this. And if you go back to, okay, we have to go there. Turn on ITAC, you will see that it's still the same. And then how is the ride? Well, it's fairly quiet in here. Not the quietest car tested out there. I mean, we have 18-inch summer wheels, so yeah, maybe you can fit 17-inch to get more rubber. Okay, we are driving on somewhat rough Norwegian asphalt also. But when it comes to the ride, I'm not sure if they changed it. I think it's roughly the same as before, the suspension. But I remember when I tested it in Thailand, it was kind of bouncy. It's still kind of bouncy, but not nowhere as bouncy as the D-Pal. So yeah, maybe not the best premium ride feel. It tends to bounce a bit. But okay, I mean, for an affordable all-wheel drive, actually possibly the most affordable all-wheel drive in Norway, then shouldn't complain, right? All right, the consumption was 240 watt-hour per kilometer, but the trip shows 49.1 kilometers. This car underreports distance, so it's like, I don't know, 95% correct or something. Ideally, the trip needs to match the actual distance for us to get the correct reading. Well, okay, let's try the 90 test then. Okay, now we have to cruise at 92 on the speedo to match 90 GPS speed. And then same here, seems like it uses both motors, or it could be that this illustration here is incorrect, but unfortunately I don't have any insight in what's going on in car scanner, so it doesn't work. Yeah, so then here we will see that the consumption should drop. But it's nice and warm outside, 16 degrees Celsius, yeah. Spring is finally coming. Okay, this time it was 171 watt-hour per kilometer. Still the same distance, 49.1 kilometers, 16 degrees Celsius. How is this compared to the old front-wheel drive then? Right now we're heading back home, and I don't have time to measure the battery capacity yet. It's gonna be kind of clumsy, complicated, and also I don't have time to do a charging test. Well, I will do a quick top up on 400 volt supercharger. So we have preheating here. Just click it on. Yes, good. Wait, really? The car claims to be alive with 11% at Remen. We have 37% now. Huh? Oh, maybe the state of charge scale is non-linear. What the heck? We are at the supercharger. There are some options here. Suddenly it pops up when I approach. You see, I can go to oops over there and then whatever, but it still claims that I will arrive with 11%, and I have 29%, and the supercharger are literally just right there. What the heck is this shit, man? Chinese software, anyone? Wait, what if I stop? Okay, and then the restart. Yeah, now it says 29%. Well, but look, if I do this, it's still in a cache that it's supposed to be 10% at arrival, But if I click there, okay, to navigate, start, you have arrived. okay. But if I stop now, and then I go here again, did it update the numbers? 9, it's still 10%. ABC, always clear buffer, over buffer clear, yeah. Well, we're charging now, getting 106 kilowatt. That ain't too bad in it. And then we're actually taking 107 kilowatt from the charger. 108, wait, 108, 107, is there a little bit of cooling going on? But if there's conversion going on here, then that's actually quite low loss, around 1% only. Yeah, 106 here, 108 here. Oh, it's been several days now since I did the initial range test, and I just remember BYD, when you turn off the car, you can see how many kilowatt hour it consumes. I think it's been a year or so since I tested BYD, so I forgot how they work. Yeah, it lacks the trip meter, but you can calculate it based on the distance and the kilowatt hour reports. So we need to go in and check now. I'm gonna stop the car, just see if it's still reported. And the reason for it, because now the car can turn itself off. I just leave the car and unlock it, but then I don't see that thing. Yeah. 15.2. Okay, so now I need to drive it down to almost 0 to measure the battery capacity then. Yeah, it's gonna take a while, but it should be quite accurate. And I've actually been running the preheating for a while, maybe at least half an hour. We'll see how long it runs before it stops. So it will supposedly stop by itself. You can read the stuff here. Yeah. You can actually read this while driving also. Dude, this is awesome. You see, we're on a curve and the cars do not slow down in the curve. Also, when I did 1,000 kilometer challenge around Tanem, where most Chinese cars will slow down, this doesn't slow down. It's wonderful. This is the way to design software, in 2026. So if the other Chinese, they can figure out this, it will be game over. For example, the Deepal S05 and a bunch of other Chinese cars I tested in Thailand, they slow down in the curve and it is super annoying. But here, wonderful. But this is super annoying. Google Maps will pop up this thing before you exit, and then you try to dismiss it, but it keeps coming back. What the heck? Stop it! We're almost done with the test now. We're down to 2%. And, is this true? But battery preheating is still active. It's been running for about 2 hours. What the heck, man? Either it's very weak or the status is not correct. But yeah, look here. So I noticed it, but the car was getting slow. If you look at the power here, I'm gonna floor it now. Oh shit! I get 29 kilowatt. Oh, I was actually struggling to maintain speed uphill on the motorway, so this is getting kind of scary. So yeah, first I thought about going to 1% or 0%, but nah, I don't think so. 55.4 kilowatt hour. Well, we're now at Ioniq. Let's check how fast it's charging. It's been preheating for a long time. Better be What? What? Oh, okay, there we go. Start ramping up. On paper, it's supposed to be 220 kilowatts. I managed to achieve it during the 1,000 kilometer challenge, but then it replicated, overheated. Yeah, seems like this is okay curve, because now we have a flatter curve without any rapid gate. Oh yeah, and this is the 800 volt architecture, which is 548 volt. Yeah. Okay, this is kind of strange, because I did several tests. First, I did a DC charging test from 10 to 100%, and then I saw how many kilowatt hour the charger delivered. And then we extrapolate and we figure out, based on today's test, 73 kilowatt hour net capacity, that there is 17% loss or 83% efficiency on DC fast charging. You can actually hear it now. The cooling is going quite heavy. It uses actually a lot of power just to try to cool down the blade battery that doesn't have liquid flowing through the battery. It uses actually uses the AC gas and then cooling plate, but it has 2 cooling plates, but it's probably inefficient. And then also later, after the 1,000 kilometer challenge, I did an AC charging test. I had to go deep to 1%, and then I charged it to 100%, and I saw what EC reported. And then based on that, I calculated we have 88% efficiency or 12% loss, which is still kind of high, because in the Model 3, tested many years ago on AC charging, we have only 8% charging loss onboard charger. So that's actually also what I've been getting in many other cars. So either the reported kilowatt hour we tested today now is not correct. Maybe it doesn't count battery heater, who knows, but I have to guess that it counts everything. But yeah, 73 kilowatt hour net capacity, and then according to spec it's supposed to be 74.8, so it's close. Many cars, when I actually test it, you get less than the nominal kilowatt hour claim from the manufacturer, because that's usually a best world case in well, actually not best case in the lab. But okay, so I get some range numbers. It's okay. It's I mean, the battery is bigger than the old Atto 3, and then when it comes to efficiency or consumption, it seems to be roughly the same. Seems like you don't take too big penalty by using all-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive, or actually front-wheel drive was before. Yeah, but yeah, okay. So I feel like the result is not 100% correct. It's probably around 95% correct. But that's gonna be it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching, and talk to you later.